So it begins like anything else. It's a day like any other. Someday, this day, now, it's 20 minutes to 1 in the morning on the 18th of the 12th of the 24th of some time. I'm here in a space by a window. The window is open and there's wind outside, and there may have been a storm earlier, but it's cooling down now and the rain has stopped and there's still wind. Well, that might be cars, but it might be wind as well. And I'm here, and not much has happened. And I watch the screen, and I wait for the inspiration to come again. My art sits, unmoving, here. It will not move on its own, although it looks like it might. The lines which I've spent now countless hours toiling away at, adding details, connecting, reconnecting, so many intricacies. Long, tangling, never finished, always the same, unfurling, never kneeling, writhing around, files censored, unable to be taken away. You come with the envelope and the door through the letterbox, and you ask, "Can I take your files away, sir?" And in reply, you get a letter back through the box which says yes, and it details the way which you must do this now. But the way that you must do this now is in a language which you do not know, you cannot know, can never know. For even if you did decode it, the instructions would be nonsensical, backwards ravings of a lunatic who does not want you to have the file, who wants to withhold it, keep the magic going as long as possible, so as not to upturn any graves of copyright, graves of old, vain grave attempts, trying on and on, not to let it spread. Inevitable, it spread every corner of the neighborhood, every inch of the house. Here it is, there it is now, here and there, all around. But I think no, it will not be decoded. It will not be solved. And I am here, eagerly trying to solve it. The page is presented A3 acrylic paper or some kind. I don't remember what the woman said when I bought it, but it was me who bought it, and I brought it back into my home. I was the one who started it so much time ago in the center, and now it's filed out to the edges, listening to crime while adding the lines, squiggles, straights, bents, staggards, flowing and interrupted, long and short, always moving and stationary. And I began it, listening to crime, intaking details, reflecting different parts back, hiding bodies within the lines, within the paper. I can see them now, even without the decipher, without the decoder, which I made on a sticky note, which shows victim 1 and square torture in the upper right-hand corner. In the center, the two arses of the two, predator and prey, the disease which flows out from each end, going upwards and downwards, north and south. Then, in a northwesterly direction, the machine which produces the mulch, the mush, the sewage, the dirty swamp water where the bodies are buried, where all the dreams die. Radiating further out is what looks like a rainbow at first, but on closer inspection, this is concentration camp stairs, deadly, where the cliff fall down, and further on, the red spot of Jupiter. From the other direction, southeast, is the house, the birth, domestication, paring it back into boxes, prisms, cubes, the great minimal, erected at last. And here still, and no one is listening. No one, to my knowledge, is listening, but the wind whistling in through the window. Any guests who are listening have not made themselves known as of yet. They are welcome to listen. All are welcome to listen, but especially the wind. Eerie stillness, which isn't very eerie, and is quite nice. A nice blanket to bend back on, lying down, calm, almost joyful surrender. At long last, but not yet, perhaps. still a hope somewhere, anywhere. That man before, in the house with the letterbox and the links, the one who will give a solution but knows you will not solve it. He is still present, and you can't see him. You can't recognize his face. Perhaps he looks like your father, but perhaps not as well. More likely not. You do not know this man. You have not seen this man before. He is unfamiliar to you. In this state you go on. At the door, sending new invoices or waiting for old ones. It doesn't much matter what you do now. You just continue to wait, waiting, listening, feeling on and on the wind, the opening window, the opened window, the lines, the links, the letters, and the man who you do not know and you cannot know and was never known to you to begin with. Who are you in this place? What can you hope to know? This world, this crooked, creaking world, all you know is what you only have seen. What you have seen has not been of free will given, but a random chance. You're plunged out into this world, a tiny little thing before its time. And in this state, we are here, looking around, down the street. You see your fellows in this massive estate, each one kneeling or crouching or sleeping or obediently standing yet at their letterbox. Each has posted and each eagerly waits for a reply. Sitting with their backs to the letterboxes, or perhaps their front to the letterboxes, getting quite close, pressing their noses and breathing instruments up towards the steel, breathing in the air from the inside of the house. Most of them smelling, but of course they can't smell it, but maybe sensing carbon monoxide, which is being pumped steadily throughout the building. In this way, it may be wondered how the man inside has been able to keep up all this time. In which case one may wonder if it's not a man at all, but some sort of malevolent spirit or God sent, some sort of higher power, which you all keep coming back to, day after day, night after night, for all of time. It's all there is. There's nothing else. Being without this yearning towards this posting and redistributing, without this is without life. This is it. All you may hope to achieve. You press your nose up against the letterbox, sensing the carbon monoxide, and this is all you will hope to achieve. And maybe you catch a glimpse of a figure within, but probably not, for your eyes have been taken out long before your time, gouged, and then the socket stabbed, and then dunked into ice-cold water. The feeling of the pain rocketing through, tearing, 1,000 pinpricks swallowed up, jostling around inside. And you have no other choice. And the wind continues. And I wait patiently for the man to give me my due, for I have waited long enough. I have been good long enough, or rather, I have been bad long enough. I have acted the good part. And the wind picks up and the window is open. And I wait for the lynx, and the picture remains unfinished, moving still, and the wind picks up, and I wait, and it gets cold in here, and there's shivers in the arms which are exposed, and the feet, always the feet, are the first to freeze. When an onset of this sending and retrieving process, always the feet to go cold first. Never know why. Some strange reason, perhaps. No true explanation. And watching the world around, writhing, wriggling, spewing out its hateful march, on and on. Nothing is as you know it. Yet how can you know anything else? This is all you've known for all of time. There is nothing to do and there is nowhere to go. There is nothing to be, and there is no one to know. Taking from your pocket a vegetable knife, you may try, through the pain, to open up and see what's inside. Find out if you are really here. Is this really you? And if not, who is listening? Who is speaking? Who is thinking? Is it one or a collection of malicious thinkers, doers, sayers, hearers? Do you condone this? If you could get up and leave, would you? Can you? How can you? All that you know is all that you have, and all that you have is all that you know. I don't know how to continue speaking like this, and I know it'll all be taken away in the end. No one is listening. No one's watching. The only time to be fully alone, away, far away, unheard, unseen, maybe discovered, but many years away from now. You will not see it, will not know it. All is taken slowly now. Where in the past, quick, sharp shocks spiraled through. And now, just a long, slow decline. Static. Not really static, but the blur. Unseeing. Not truly knowing. This is the half reality. It's a projection of the full reality. Our actions preserve the full reality, whereas our inactions, which create the large majority of our action, aka the time we spend, that keeps up the half reality. In this way, becomes a vicious cycle. You will not know anything new. You will not know anything near. All that you hold, this is not yours. All that you think, someone else has pre-thought these thoughts for you. Everything you hope to find, well, it's all been laid out, and you're making great progress. It's only a matter of time before you find all the clues, before you trace it back. Won't take long now. You're getting close. You're doing such a good job. But there is nothing to do, and there is no one to know. Nothing to be, and nowhere to go. Around we go, around and around, around the senseless cycle, and there's nothing you can do. You can try, but any rebellion you make is predetermined, and invariably, through various means you will find, however much you try, it will be insubstantial, and the world will continue on in the half reality, and this is the way it is. We have perfected a means of which going on and on. This is the last part, which is divided by the da-da, 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 knocking. The last part is the longest. All that has come before will be doubled, showing off the full extent. Everything has been gone over. Remnants are found here and there. The clues will seem like they weren't meant to be discovered. This is only the way it's supposed to be. You feel the joyful elation having discovered something. But this discovery was only made available by the people who want you to find it. And those who want you to find it are often those as well who have created it, who are discussed in it, who describe in it, who ascribe to it and subscribe to it and thrive off of it. How will you go on now? And still you may wonder, is this rambling rant also a false clue? To that I say, no, because there it highlights one point, which is the truest discovery. All of the theories, all of the clues point to an undiscovered meaning, point to a hidden truth, hidden secrets of the world. The truth is, there is a window, and wind blows through it, and that is where I am. The real truth is, there is no hidden history. There is no undiscovered meaning to the world. Everything around you, which you hold your vile suspicions to, is exactly how it is. There are no secrets. There is nothing to secrete away. When you see something suspicious, suspicion is a half reality ideal. When you become suspicious, discard it as this is false. The suspicion towards the suspicious thing is only a distraction from what is real. Nothing is here, and this is the great discovery which you must take forth. You may be distracted. You may want, above all wanting, to act, react, continue the cycle. But after enough, you realize that although you think you can do all, you can do nothing. may go a life of doing, only to start back where you started and having nothing done. This is its cycle. Is it enjoyable? Is it unenjoyable? Do you seek further wisdom? After all this, do you seek more thoughts? The old texts, the books, they should not be taken lightly, literally, meaningfully. All of that is nonsense. All of that is only distraction. So you may know that all of the old books, the texts, the artworks are comparable to a grain of mud. And you wake up to the mud and you embrace it as beautiful. But now, even this ramble, it seems the only point is a deranged little sleep monologue to help you get off. So, I'll finish on this. When everyone you have ever loved is finally gone, when everything you have ever wanted is finally done with, when all of your nightmares are for a time obscured as by a shining brainless beacon, or a blinding eclipse of the many terrible shapes of this world, and you are calm and joyful and finally entirely alone, then in a great new darkness you will finally execute your special plan. One needs to have a plan, someone said, who was turned away into the shadows, and who I had believed was sleeping or dead. Imagine, he said, all the flesh that is eaten, the teeth tearing into it, the tongue tasting its savor, and the hunger for that taste. Now take away that flesh, he said. Take away the teeth and the tongue, the taste and the hunger. Take away everything as it is. That was my plan, my own special plan for this world. I listened to these words, and yet I did not wonder if this creature, whom I had thought sleeping or dead, would ever approach his vision, even in his deepest dreams or his most lasting death. Because I had heard of such plans, such visions, and I knew they did not see far enough. But what was demanded in a way of a plan needed to go beyond tongue and teeth and hunger and flesh, beyond the bones and the very dust of bones, and wind that would come to blow the dust away. And so I began to envision a darkness that was long before the dark of night, and a strangely shining light that owed nothing to the light of day. That day may seem like other days. Once more we feel the tiny-legged trepidations. Once more we are mangled by a great grinding fear. But that day will have no others after. No more worlds like this will follow, because I have a plan, a very special plan. No more worlds like this, no more days like that. There are but 4 ways to die, a sardonic spirit might have said to me. There is dying that occurs relatively suddenly. There is dying that occurs relatively gradually. There is dying that occurs relatively painlessly. There is the death that is full of pain. Thus, by various means they are combined, the sudden and the gradual, the painless and the painful, to yield but 4 ways to die, and there are no others. Even after the voice stopped speaking, I listened for it to speak again, after hours and day and years had passed. I listened for some further words, yet all I heard were the faintest echoes reminding me, there are no others. There are no others. Was it then that I began to conceive for this world a special plan? There are no means for escaping this world. It penetrates even into your sleep and is its substance. You are caught in your own dreaming, where there is no space, and are held forever where there is no time. You can do nothing you are not told to do. There is no hope for escape from this dream that was never yours. The very words you speak are only its very words, and you talk like a traitor under its incessant torture. There are many who have designs upon this world and dream of wild and vast reformations. I have heard them talking in their sleep of elegant mutations and cunning annihilations. I have heard them whispering in the corners of crooked houses and in the alleys and narrow back streets of this crooked, creaking universe, which they, with their new designs, would make straight and sound. But each of these new and ill-conceived designs is deranged in its heart, for they see this world as if it were alone and original, and not only one of countless others, whose nightmares all proceed, like a hideous garden grown from a single seed. I have heard these dreamers talking in their sleep, and I stand waiting for them, as at the top of a darkened flight of stairs. They know nothing of me, and none of the secrets of my special plan, while I know every crooked, creaking step of theirs. It was the voice of someone who was waiting in the shadows, who was looking at the moon and waiting for me to turn the corner and enter a narrow street and stand with him in the dull glaze of moonlight. And he said to me, he whispered, that my plan was misconceived, that my special plan for this world was a terrible mistake, because, he said, there is nothing to do, and there is nowhere to go. There is nothing to be, and there is no one to know. Your plan is a mistake, he repeated. This world is a mistake, I replied. The children always followed him when they saw him hopping by. A funny walk, a funny man, a funny, funny, funny man. He made them laugh sometimes. He made them laugh. Oh yes, he did. He did, he did, he did, he did. Oh, how he made them roll. One day he took them to a place he knew, a special place, and told them things about this world, this funny, funny, funny world, which made them laugh sometimes. He made them laugh sometimes. He did. Oh yes, he did. He did, he did, he did, he did. Oh, how he made them roll. And the funny little man who made them laugh, sometimes he did, revealed to them his special plan, his very special, funny plan, knowing they would understand and maybe laugh sometimes. He made them laugh. Oh yes, he did. He did, he did, he did, he did. Their eyes grew wide beneath their lids, and how he made them roll. I'll first learn the facts from a lunatic in a dark and quiet room that smelled of stale time and space. There are no people, nothing at all like that. The human phenomenon is but the sum of densely coiled layers of illusion, each of which winds itself upon the supreme insanity that there are persons of any kind, when all there can be is mindless mirrors, laughing and screaming as they parade about in an endless dream. But when I asked the lunatic what it was that saw itself within these mirrors, as they marched endlessly in stale time and space, he only rocked and smiled, then he laughed and screamed, and in his black and empty eyes I saw for a moment, as in a mirror, a formless shade of divinity, in flight from its stale infinity of time and space, and the worst of all, of this world's dreams, my special plan for the laughter and the screams. We went to see some little show that was staged in an old shed past the edge of town, and in its beginnings all seemed well. The miniature curtain stage glowed in the darkness, while those dolls bounced along on their strings before our eyes, and in its beginnings all seemed well. And then there came a subtle turning point, which some had noticed, and I was one, who quietly left the show. No, I did not, because I could see where things were going. As the antics of those dolls grew strange, and the fragile strings grew taut, with the tiny pullings of tiny limbs, the others around me became appalled. They turned away and abandoned the show that was staged in an old shed past the edge of town. But I wanted to witness what could never be. I wanted to see what could not be seen. But the moment of consummate disaster, when puppets turned to face the puppet master. It was twilight, and I stood in the greyish haze of a vast empty building, when the silence was enriched by a reverberant voice. All the things of this world, it said, are of but one essence, for which there are no words. This is the greater part, which has no beginning or end, and the one essence of this world, for which there can be no words, is but all the things of this world. This is the lesser part, which had a beginning and shall have an end, for which words were conceived solely to speak of the tiny broken beings of this world, it said. The beginnings and endings of this world, it said, for which words were conceived solely to speak of. Now remove these words, and what remains, it asks me, as it stood in the twilight of that vast empty building. But I did not answer. The question echoed over and over, but I remained silent until the echoes died. And as the twilight passed into evening, I felt my special plan, for which there are no words, moving towards a greater darkness. There are some who have no voices, or none that will ever speak, because of the things they know about this world, and the things they feel about this world, because the thoughts that fill a brain, that is a damaged brain, because the pain that fills a body, that is a damaged body, exist in other worlds, countless other worlds, each of which stands alone in an infinite empty blackness, for which no words have been conceived, and where no voices are able to speak. When a brain is filled only with damaged thoughts, when a damaged body is filled only with pain, and stands alone in a world surrounded by infinite empty blackness, and exists in a world for which there is no special plan. When everything, when everyone you have ever wanted, when everyone you have ever loved is finally gone, when everything you have ever wanted is finally done with, when all of your nightmares are for a time obscured, as by a shining brainless beacon, or a blinding eclipse of the many terrible shapes of this world, when you are calm and joyful, and finally entirely alone, then, in a great new darkness, you will finally execute your special plan. When everyone you have ever loved is finally gone, when everything you have ever wanted is finally done with, when all of your nightmares are for a time obscured, as by a shining brainless beacon, or a blinding eclipse of the many terrible shapes of this world, when you are calm and joyful, and finally entirely alone, then in a great new darkness, you will finally execute your special plan. The wind continues. The wind continues. I still await a reply from the man behind the door. The drawing seethes, moving. Never quite moving. My feet grow cold, and all is Tibet. And this concludes our first